Hi folks, we're back cutting through the matrix, and over this weekend I've had quite a few emails from people talking about the chemtrailing that's going on. It's been going on steadily now, daily basically since 1998, and long before that of course we're doing multiple testing in the US and Britain especially, which has been documented with other videos and so on. But there's a chemtrail rally in England in June. I'll put the link up for that, and there's a video to go with it to show you. They're going to have it at the same time as the Air Force has its annual big to-do, its big display for the general public. So maybe some people will turn up and ask the right questions. Not they're going to get any answers, because they cannot tell you any truth at the top. And even your governments are forbidden to speak about it. Cops are forbidden, by the way, to speak about it too. If you ask them about it, they're told to turn around and walk away. So it's one of these big things that are going on. They know the detrimental effects it's having on the general public, and bronchial problems especially that simply are persistent. And no doubt it's taking a death toll on young and elderly and those with bronchial problems to begin with. And we also know that they also use HAARP along with this stuff, and it's for weather modification and manipulation of populations for technotronic warfare, which they've admitted to. It's well documented now, even at the treaties have signed at the United Nations. If you look up weather warfare treaties, there's a whole series of them that are always being added to at the United Nations. They admit they can cause earthquakes, droughts, famines, or floods, and a whole bunch of disorders. They can create tornadoes, guide them even to their target. And they even say that it makes the atom bomb obsolete. Anyway, that's the wonderful world of Disney we're living through, and it's done through secrecy, silence, and of course defaming those who come out with any news about it. And that's the general way it's always been done. People at the time during the 60s and 70s who were talking about the spraying over parts of England and Scotland, it's taken them all this time to declassify information. And the major mainstream have shown you some of the video clips from it now. One did a documentary. It's on my site at cuttingthroughthematrix.com in the archive section, where they were going around towns spraying from a van for months and months, cadmium and various other substances, highly carcinogenic by the way, and spraying it from the air on top of the public too, and also releasing it off of ships off the coast and allowing the stuff to get blown across at different areas. So it takes 50 years generally before they start telling you, releasing it from classified information. By that time, the present generation don't care about it. They think they're somehow will progress from then. They're not like that now. They're more open and honest now. That's really how we think, and that's why they get away with it. So we've got to really stop this one in the bud, because it's affecting too many people. It's affecting agriculture. It's making the soil very alkaline. It's interesting too, aluminum particles that are in the spray, along with barium and others, metal particles, are causing the soil to change its pH value. And interestingly enough too, Monsanto did come out with GM crops last year that were resistant to the aluminum. So they know what they're doing. They know darn well what they're doing. And of course, it doesn't matter about us. We're just a generation that must go through it. As Rockefeller said at a speech, he says, well, you can't make an omelette without breaking eggs. And that's what he's talking about, this whole New World Order, depopulation, all of that comes into this terrible nightmare that we're living through right now. This planned nightmare, everything in its plan, with planned bank crashes, then planned austerity, everything's planned in advance. Remember, the whole idea of the United Nations with the first world countries would pay and pay and pay for third world countries to come up to a certain standard as the first world went down. And of course we know too that the money doesn't get to the third world. It goes into the international corporations they set up branches of in the third world.